On 5th March 2020, the European Commission adopted its gender equality strategy for 2020-2025. The strategy is based on a vision for Europe where women and men, girls and boys, in all their diversity, are free from violence and stereotypes and have the opportunity to thrive and to lead. Gender stereotypes are a root cause of gender inequality and affect all areas of society. Stereotypical expectations based on fixed norms for women and men, girls and boys, limit their aspiration, their choice and freedom, and therefore need to be dismantled. Gender stereotypes strongly contribute to the gender pay gap. They are often combined with other stereotypicals, such as those based on race or ethnic origin, religion or belief, or even disabilities, age or sexual orientation, and this can reinforce stereotypical negative impact. The media and the cultural sectors have considerably say in shaping people's beliefs, values and perceptions of reality, and are thus further key channels for changing attitude and challenging stereotypes. The Commission support project promoting gender equality under Creative Europe. The name of the program is Creative Europe, including financial support, structured dialogue, mentoring and training for women filmmaker, producer and screenwriter. The Creative Europe media program was just being renewed for 2021 to 2027. The new strategy of policy development, including gender activities in all European action towards the audiovisual sectors, was just signed. The focus and greatness of this new strategy is that it has moved from gender alone to the broader concept of diversity and inclusiveness, which opened doors for you in Asia. Gender equality in the European film and media industries is still far from being achieved. In addition to the well-known obstacles women may encounter through their careers, such as the fact that certain sectors are still considered to be predominantly and exclusively masculine, we can also add the impact of such views which sustain whispered practice of self-censorship, discouraging some women from pursuing a wide panel of jobs. In 2021, on the 13th anniversary of the Creative Europe's media program, and within its framework and media and audiovisual action plan, the European Commission, in partnership with an advocacy group named Collective 50/50 from France, launched a new award campaign named Character Her. This campaign on gender and diversity focused on the audiovisual and news media sectors, mainly supporting women. The Character Her campaign aims to indicate that film and media industry offer a wide range of professional opportunity that require a variety of different competences, where women can also find a place for them. Therefore, the campaign wants to crush stereotypes and encourage all girls and women to pursue careers in domains that are traditionally considered to be masculine. The important thing here is to be ambitious. Are you ambitious? Are you ambitious? Please be loud, be ambitious. Be ambitious and determined and passionate. If you are, then there may be a job for you too, even in Europe. I would like to give the example of Swedish best practice, example of 50/50, and why we need a Bechdel test. Did anyone here in this room knows or heard about Bechdel test? None? Bechdel test.
You can just quickly explain.
I will. Just I wanted to know because of we have a filmmakers here. Okay, the approach of Bechdel test. The Bechdel test is also referred to be as the Bechdel-Wallace test, is an approach for gauging the fair representation of women in film production. The Bechdel test got its name from American cartoonist Alison Bechdel, who introduced the concept in her comics named Dogs to Watch Out For in 1985. To pass the so-called Bechdel test, a film must have at least 2 named female characters who talk to each other about something other than men. This is so simple. 2 characters, female characters, talking to each other, not about men. That's simple. Nothing extraordinary, just that simple. Okay, the approach chosen by various national, because it's very important, this is now chosen by national film institution widely and put it, even in Hollywood, put it on place. The approach chosen by various national institutions differs widely, but can be divided into 3 groups. The one who embrace proactive approach, such as Sweden, Ireland, Spain, Netherlands, and French. The one, because when I said proactive approach, is starting by implementing border measures aiming to encourage a change in mentality and later introduce quota. They want first change the mentality and then after put some quotas. This is Sweden, Ireland, Spain, Netherlands, and France, just widely, and also Germany. And the one with progressive policies, is like Germany. And the one with we have countries with no specific policies in Europe in favor of women filmmakers, such as Bulgaria. The Czech Republic, Greece, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, and Finland did not have either. For Sweden, which is the best practice we have in our region, Sweden is the leading EU country in terms of regulatory policies. In 2013, it focuses on the aim of attaining an even gender distribution, 50-50, in terms of production funding. In 2000, the government formally asked the Swedish Film Institute to work on gender equality. It was the government who asked for it. Amazing now? Because now we're mostly purchasing and going after the government to help to have this gender balance. This equality started emerging in the film industry through its inclusion into the film agreement. They have a film agreement. The A rating system in Sweden use the very simple Bechdel test. That's why they achieved this 50-50. Yeah, is the latest test Swedish move to promote gender equality by addressing how women are portrayed in the public spheres. Other EU countries, such as Ireland, choose to implement measures encouraging women filmmakers to apply for funding. The Danish Film Institute has appointed a working group to ensure progress and specific effort in the area. The Spanish Ley del Cine, which is a very important selection, requires gender within, it's a film festival, gender within selection and founding committee among directors and screenwriters and in the distribution role. Has to be female. As of 2007, the Netherlands has also started implementing a system of selection criteria for funding to evaluate not only the quality of the project, but also its potential contribution to gender and diversity. It is written. Likewise, the Polish Film Institute introduced gender equality objectives in its committee of experts in 2017. Even though this measure is not specifically aimed at the film industry sectors, it still has a significant indirect impact which is undeniable for our society. I would like here to talk about the Council of Europe a little bit. The Council of Europe is it's the only pan-European organization in Europe, which have 47 member countries, plus 5 observer countries, including Canada, USA, Israel, and the Vatican, and Mexico. I used to work at the Council of, I'm still working with them, but at that time I was at the Council of Europe Cabinet of the Secretary General. The Council of Europe's objective to support gender equality is being pursued through a number of legislative provisions. Again, we're coming to the legislation, with strong commitment by his member state to fight stereotypes and sexism, and to protect multiple identities, among other things, such as the Sarajevo Gender Equality Declaration and the Council of Europe's Cultural Fund, namely the Euroimage. I think some of you did heard about Euroimage. Thank you. I hope you will also be interested about Euroimage. Please note Euroimage in your calendar if you want to make films or if you want to be involved in films. This is, I'm going to explain what is Euroimage. In 2015, representing of Europe Film Fund, Euroimage, and it's the representation of the European Film Fund, the biggest organ of funding movies in Europe. Money. And because I seen you not excited, but I think I will be excited in your place, because this is the only organization, even if you are from Bangladesh, you can have some support. And Ministers of Culture adopted a declaration embracing gender equality in the industry during the Sarajevo Film Festival. The declaration was the result of a high-level conference entitled Women in Today's European Film Industry, Gender Matters. Can we do better? Participants committed to support the effort undertaken by Euroimage to collect and analyze data on the presence of women in projects applying for co-productions and support. Similarly, they called on the Council of Europe to encourage its member country to implement policies to reduce the gender imbalance. Not easy task. In the European audiovisual industry, notably through enhancing women's access to key decision-making posts and within selection panels, juries, festivals, and educational institutions, in particularly by improving prospects for women and by encouraging experiences, direction, and producer to act as role model and inspire young generation. Well, what is exactly Euroimage? Euroimage is active since 1989, has 39 of the 47 member countries of the Council of Europe, plus Canada as an associate member. Euroimage promotes the European audiovisual industry by providing financial support to feature-length fiction, animation, and documentary film produced in Europe. But not only. You can be a filmmaker outside Europe, but if you have a co-producer in Europe, you can apply for having funding. In doing so, it encourages co-production between professionals established in different European countries and worldwide. Since 2012, Euroimage has been considering the issue of gender equality in the film industry. A gender equality working group composed of representatives from numbers of member states, has been set up with the aim of studying the current situation of the presence of women in the cinema sector and at a national and international level, in cooperation with other national and international bodies, analyzing the current situation and collecting information on the gender of the project and on the content of the script. Again, we turn back to the Bechdel test, content, for the application to be submitted to Euroimage. It's one of the criteria also in Euroimage. As part of its 50-50 by 2020 strategy, Euromage has embraced the aim of achieving equal distribution of co-production funding between women and men by the year of 2020. It was previously. But then, however, on the meeting of the September 2021, very recently, in one of the seminar, my very dear friend, which is also the Deputy Executive Director of Euromage, Enrico Vanicis, said in Venice, because we had a Venice Production Bridge Committee meetings, he's aware that we are dedicated, but we didn't achieve this goal, unfortunately. We're just working. We didn't achieve the 50-50. In 2016, Euromage introduced the Audentia Best Female Director Prize, worth €30,000, to be awarded as a different international film festival each year. It's for film festival who promote women. €30,000. With the Audentia Award, Euromage intends to celebrate women who have the courage to make that choice by giving their work greater visibility and inspiring other women to follow in their footsteps. In October 2020, the Euromage Board of Management renewed its commitment to gender equality by adopting its third strategy for gender equality in the European film industry, covering the period of 2021 to 2023. This decision reflects that the founding ongoing commitment to address the problematic of underrepresentation of women in cinema, and in particular to supporting female driving projects, is even more on our map, even more visible on our map. Through his implementation, Euromage wished to continue to be a driving forces for change by adopting a series of measures to promote the role of women in front of and behind the camera. And for that, they also collaboratively work with the European Parliament. For example, European Parliament, another organ of the Europe. The European Parliament is the European Union's only directly elected institution. All of its 705 members are there to represent each European member's citizens. It's the voice of the citizens. The European Parliament, turning political discourse into action, has been steadily supporting the dissemination of film production directly by women and portraying strong women and inspiring female characters through its Lux Film Prize. In its 12 editions since creation in 2007, the prize has been awarded to 5 women, thus nearly achieving equality. In 2021, Lux, the European Audience Film Award, was introduced, and it will be presented every year by the European Parliament and the European Film Academy in partnership with the European Commission. The award built on the former Lux Prize, but the symbolic is there. The symbolic of the European Parliament's commitment to culture and the European Film Academy's People's Choice. It's a People's Choice Award, actually. They give the choice to the people, the European Parliament. The award aims to strengthen ties between politics and citizens by inviting European audience to become active protagonists and cast their vote by their favorite films. Some EU countries have embraced proactive approach. They usually start by implementing border measures aiming to encourage a change in mentality. Because only when you work with your citizen, only when you work directly with your citizen, and is a direct line between these two elements, the elected people, the government in place, and the citizen, then you can together help to build a brighter future it helps to change the mentality through education, actually. At a later stage, they often introduce quota in Europe and or other quantitative objectives. Well, I would like to conclude by saying a few words. We should not be shy about being proud of where we are or about where are our ambitions and where we want to go. Achieving a gender balance within the European film industry is not an aim in itself, but it's not an aim in itself here too. The basic rationale behind this requirement is that more women in position will in turn lead to better conditions for women in the industry and will likely help guarantee diversity in stories and perspective being portrayed on cinema screen. The sheer scale of gender inequality is such that awareness-raising action alone seems unlikely to bring about substantial changes. It appears, therefore, essential that proactive solutions be proposed to start redressing the gender and diversity imbalance with aim to ensure the situation across the world, not only in Europe. And I just want to finish with just one sentence. That's what I think and what I believe. You can be what you can see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meral Melika Duran. That was a very well-researched paper, and obviously you have so much more to share information-wise and encouraging people. Definitely from Bangladesh, and there are other Asian and non-European filmmakers here will be very interested to know more about this, about possible collaboration, cooperation, etc., etc. So we have our distinguished discussants here, and I think I would like to start with you, actually, Gida, to give your, what you thought about the paper, and if you wanted to add something.
Thank you, Meral, for a very thorough go-through of the European system and the continuously fight we have to do to keep gender equality and work for gender equality. I am from Norway, and I will talk a little bit about Norway and the Scandinavian countries, because Norway is always on the top 3 of gender equality in the world, together with Finland and Iceland, and slightly under there is Denmark and Sweden. Is also, but Norway is a quite young nation. We gained our independence in 1905, and it was a very, very poor country. We had this wave of emigrations in the 1920s and 1930s to US because it was a farmers' country and it was very poor. And we were not, none of the Scandinavian countries, Norway was not a colonial powers. We didn't have, we just had fish and what we could make of the farms. So in the 50s and 60s in Norway, it was, women's main task was to stay home, to take care of the kids, and to make food, and the man's job was to go out and work. And that was in the late 60s. It was like this freedom year for women, and the woman before me worked and struggled very hard. And then I was born in 1975, and that was the Women's Year. So thanks to my mother, my aunts, and all their sisters, I gained to grow up in a country where I always felt as a young girl equal to men. It was never a question. I was like everybody else. But still, it is... so when I was growing up, everybody could do the same. I could play soccer, we could do whatever, and it was no limits of what you can do as a woman. But still, in Norway, it was, going over to film, it was men who made the films. It was occasionally one woman or two maybe making a feature film in Norway, but mostly men. Until 20 years ago, where we started to have a film school in Norway. And the film school, when they started the film school, it should be equal amount of students of both gender. And that has proven to be really important, because now it's still not. It's mostly men who make film, but we have the same educated people, both as director, producers, behind the cameras, everything. And I think that has proven to, now it's much more common for girls to make films, both as directors and for feature film and also for documentaries. But it's still a work in progress, and it's continuously a work in progress, as in Norway and all over Europe and for other countries. We have to keep on demanding. So I just want to say, in Norway, we have this really, and it goes into, like, in politics, in laws, in economical life, it has to be demand equality. So I would like to read a little bit, because also on a governmental level. So women's rights, girls, boys, women and men, and we have an action plan for this year from the governmental side, which is called the Action Plan 5 Objectivities. Did it work? Yeah. And the action plan is inclusive and equitable quality education for all girls and boys. Women's equal participation in political life. Full economical rights for women, equal opportunities for women to participate in the labor market. The elimination of violence and harmful practice against girls and women. And sexual and reproductive health and rights for girls and women. So still in Norway, this is things we continue to fight for, and we continue to keep it like in the top level. And I think that goes for all the European countries and all our rights. We doesn't have to take it for granted. It's a continuously fight. And I'm happy about that.
Yes, work, continuous work. And what Meral pointed out, you went really into detail about it, the importance of law and legislative structure. Just good intention is not actually good enough. And when there is a law in place, and like you were saying, an action plan or structure, then one can work towards that, even when it is not fulfilled totally. I would like to come to Ms. Naima Chowdhury, and another section you kept mentioning money, and that is to do with film. Banker and thinker, and in various way cultural preservist. Naima can give another perspective to what we have been discussing.
Well, first of all, Meryl,
recording in progress.
Another sign, I guess. Thank you, Meryl, for the paper, which is an overview of the summary and progress of matters that related to women's equality, diversity, and inclusion in European cinema and the changing demographics in your society there. Europe, in fact, now represents the world. It's so diverse. I think everyone would agree with that. And I think that what your paper especially has given some food for thought in that, we have regional proactiveness with, SARC, and they collaborate on film. But there's lots to learn in terms of the legislation and enforcement of certain rules to, ensure gender equality and all that. And this is what we need to monitor and analyze, and to see that, the steps we're taking have an impact on society. And I think also that, especially for young people who are so active on social media, you're the ones, who can shape the new tomorrow and have a more, help us, have a more fairer, more equal, more just world. And I hope you realize your responsibilities. I have had I'm a big film buff, and recently I've watched, what was it? The Pope and Different Generations, talking about their experiences, And this is where I think, we, the younger people need to hold on to the torch of the older generation, and learn the lessons so that we don't have to repeat the same mistakes, okay? And a lot of the stereotypes, we're very unaware of. The stereotypes we have about women, about minorities, about people of different communities, we're very, very unaware of them. That's why we need to talk more. We need to talk more in our social circles, in our workplaces, and advocate for our human rights. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, And so, we are women. We belong to certain minorities or ethnic groups or races or a certain age. I belong to a certain age where now I'm not only a woman, but I know that because of my age, I'm discriminated against. So whether it's my pay or my standing, I'll never be able to, compete or, keep up with the man, But why try? We're so good in so many other aspects. Our mothers were our first heroes. You must agree, they sacrificed so much to allow women where they are now, especially in terms of getting an education. We have our pioneer, Begum Rokeya. Many people, we should thank her for allowing women here in this country to get an education, to come out in society and to do things that were, at that time unheard of, But now we have women who drive their own taxis, who run their own businesses, who are bankers like me, who are in every field of occupation. And let's not forget the men. I found so many men who are supportive, fathers, brothers, co-workers, who are supportive of women. And we need to remember their encouragement and their support. Because we're in this together. All of us are very much in this together. What I'd like to say also is that this stereotyping, let us not also create new stereotypes. My daughter was just mentioning today, she read the paper, and she was talking about awards. And she asked me a very critical question. Mom, are you sure that, this award is not being given because it's Scorsese or Kate Winslet or Meryl Streep, and not an unknown who has more talent, who's better, in fact? But because of their name and fame, maybe we're also stereotyping that only a Viola Davis can get this award because she happens to be African American. There has to be more African Americans, So it has to be a meritocracy, of merit. Who's the best despite, their background or race or age or whatever. Let's not forget that also. As for, support, I'm very, very glad that Summit, one of the companies here, has a cultural wing, a company which is supporting culture in Bangladesh. We need more businesses, we need more banks and other institutions, the government, supporting culture in every field. And that has to come from the demand of the public. The more you engage in culture, the more funds, the more resources.
Actually, this is... Yeah. Is it coming? Yeah.
We have to share.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we can shout.
Yeah, we can shout. This is automatically doing my job. I think it's redundant. It's kind of like giving out timings, whatever. Miral, I really
But don't
want
worry, we're going to take time. because
Yeah,
this
we
is
have
subject
time, we
which
have
is
time.
About women. We take
Yes.
time. We take the floor when it's needed, even if they shut up the light. Right, girls?
Let there be light. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, please.
I just wanted to say that we should open up to the audience and see what...
Yeah, that will happen. I think we need to finish a little bit. Audience will, take their turn. Thank you very much for especially bringing in the larger perspective of culture. And that definitely needs another whole session or more, or a whole, big write-up, because the role of culture at all, the importance of cultural activities, cinema, whichever it is, that itself is being fought over throughout the world. There is this tendency to kind of anti-intellectual new time that we are entering into. It is, everything quote-unquote highbrow, anything which smacks of any kind of intellectual occupation is being sometimes rightfully fought against because it creates elitism, but at the same time, it's kind of like taking away from any kind of cerebral activity. It's like, this is not good for us. Anyway, Miral, I wanted to hear from you about the last point that was raised by Mrs. Naima Chaudhuri, that about the diversity, which is part of your paper, that women also being part of a diverse, but when you are bringing in especially ethnic diversity, and there is the colonial history, the inclusion of that, women of color, people of color, and all other. How do you think that all the rules and the regulation and the law and the structures that are taking place in Europe, is that inclusive enough? Because we have seen some reactions against, in Europe too, that where it is kind of invisible and it's all white. How about that? What do you think about that?
Well, thank you very much for this. Can you hear me? Is it working? Okay. Thank you very much for these questions, because I really wanted to go on what Naima said. That is one of the reasons I talked about this diversity and inclusion, because in Europe we are very diverse. I mean, due to this also colonial, past of some European countries, not all of them, but some. I don't want to go into history, it's not my thing. It's too political. But
and also the within it, what Guido was saying, that there were colonial powers within Europe.
Exactly, no. But for example, that was one of the reasons I wanted to really talk about the diversity and the inclusiveness, because we are not that far. Like we do not. When I said Europe and Asia, we are bound. We are bound. We have Asian origin, immigrants or citizens, because they are fourth generation or fifth generation. They are integrated or assimilated, or whatever the word you want to put there, that they're living in the European soul. They are part of the entity. They are part of the population of the European population, and they are, of course, because of their roots, they are connected to Asia. Their origin, and of course they are enriching us. They are giving us a lot of possibility to evolve with them. We are evolving all together. For example, just take me as an example. I am a Turkish origin. I'm a Turkish French, and I am European. But overall of all this, I am a global citizen. I am Meral Malika Duran. I am just a simple citizen of the world. But at one point, when you said, enough of having, this Meryl Streep or any, I think, yes.
Recording in progress.
You have your perspective is probably got truth or your daughter's. Yeah, but I think she's right. She's right. That's why I was saying I really underline the fact that there is a connection, there is a bridge. I know that it seems perhaps a little bit boring, this paper, which I prepared and talked to you. I wanted to talk directly, spontaneously to some, what was the problem we are figuring out, what is our struggle and so on. But I figured out that you need to know also Europe, how Europe functions, the different organization we have, and where you can perhaps click on and say, okay, wow, there is an organization there is a link where we can perhaps work together. Perhaps you have some project, and then you have some part you can do it from here, but you can probably find a way of connecting to European, co-producer or screenwriter, perhaps participate in some festivals in Europe, and and you can see that there is several organizations who's promoting gender and who's promoting the diversity, and there is also Asian origin European who is very keen to be, linked with again with their roots, and all these programs we have, Creative Europe or Lux Prizes are very open actually. In Lux Prizes there is we had 1 or 2 times Asian nominated, didn't win, but we had some nominated people. But there is a possibility, and there's, for example, this prize of 30,000 euros for one of the festival. Why not one day, not today, it's not in my hand, it's not my choice, but that one day perhaps, why not Dhaka International Festival to get this prize? We owe this amount of money. It's just, I was talking about this, but funding is very important, because as soon as we have the funding, we can also have the possibility to grow our spheres, to give. For example, we had, I don't know if she's still here. No, she's not. She was on the stage with me this morning, and she's a wonderful teacher. She's at a university. She had the title. She's working in this university as a teacher, but she don't have the structure. She don't have the logistical help or whatnot. And this is also linked to the funding. This is linked to the, to the help of, at one point, financial help and economical help. And again, in this we see that if our regulation is already based on human rights, and if we already have all these laws who's protecting us, and then you have your mind free to create. But it's more difficult when you are already creative and you have your dreams, but you're not protected enough, then you struggle more, and it's open doors for violence, it's open doors for harassment, it's open doors a lot of things. But if you feel secure enough, if you know that there is a regulation there, which is equal regulation, who you know that they will equally distribute, all the resources, then you're gonna feel free to create, right? That is, I hope, my wish and my hope, that we arrive globally at this stage that we're gonna only have time of dreaming and creating and living in an artistic world where our laws, our regulation worldwide protect us and is a basis for our, without struggling, without all this, thinking, because it's also like a evolving. If we do not change, and if we do not have the conventions, the treaties, the laws who's protecting us in the basis, we will never be able to help to educate people, to change the educational system, to change the mentality regarding girls and boys, or transgender issues, or any issues, because we are not fully protected.
Yes, obviously you're a very optimistic person, and like Naima was already saying, is that Europe is leading in many ways, although of course there is that one has to be wary of the real politic of not handing down solutions where there are local problems with its local history and local solutions. Because you mentioned Begum Rokeya, who was an education pioneer in Bangladesh, and I know actually of a woman, another pioneering woman film director from Bangladesh, Shamim Appa, was trying to make a biopic based on her, and it was so interesting to me. You wanted to say something? Yeah, I wanted to bring Gida into discussion. But Gida said that sometimes an apparently simple step can create so much change, like the film school which started 20 years ago. And I was thinking that, wow, in Bangladesh we had the first woman filmmaker in the 60s who made first feature film, Rebecca Bindu Theke Britto. But unfortunately, that film is missing. But then we have had several film directors working in mainstream and also in indie sector, and actually very famous script writers. You know, that was always the forte of women working in the film. So, Gita, if you can expand a little bit on that what is holding back in such a kind of from afar within Europe, Scandinavian countries, there seems like everything, all the problems have been solved, you're now rich, there are natural resources, there are even selling weapon, that also brings money, but we don't talk about that normally. But what is holding back women, if it is? I mean, I know it is progressing.
Yeah. But I think it's a work in progress. I think we're still too young as a nation or in Europe that we're still working with the empowerment that women should take their place, because a feature film is a big project, should be handling and taking. Of course, we have also had female filmmakers earlier, but there are so few. And I think that is something that is changing, but it needs to change from childhood, that women are allowed to take place. What happens for the first year at the film school, we had 50-50. It was 50% directors, of female and men. And after the film school, a lot of the female directors dropped out of feature films. They were making documentaries and they were making shorts, they were making television, but feature film was still mainly men. And I think that it goes for some kind of empowerment to take that place. I have that place, I can take it and I can do it. And it goes also with mirroring, that you have role models which has done it before you. So I think we're still evolving on this, and it will take years, again. But I think that we keep on talking about this, and we keep on, I think the Me Too movement kind of renewed the focus on women and diversity as well, because it says that we're totally equal. It's not allowed to have a little haha from the man. It's not the way we want it. And then all the festivals, TV funder, national funders, Nordic funders, European funders also started to be much more aware about gender and diversity. Now in the Nordic countries and also in Europe, we talk a lot about diversity as well. It goes for no discrimination for any sexual orientation, age and handicap and all of those things. It goes hand in hand, and it's human rights. But so I think we will be there soon. I'm very positive. Yeah, but
we are here.
It's an ongoing fight.
Actually, I wanted to mention something, and for people in Bangladesh probably know about that. That also the invisibility. Sorry, you were mentioning age. That also brings its own invisibility, but. I curated through my organization, IFIB, a series on women directors of Bangladesh in collaboration with the Getty Film Institute, a European organization. Getty Institute, not Getty Film Institute. And everybody, including my woman colleagues and us, were like, oh, we can do it maybe for 3 months or 6 months. I mean, how many films have women made? And we ran it totally for 2 years, and then we stopped for COVID, and we still have films. This is not only feature film, feature, short, feature documentary, short documentary, and some other kind of visual content, but not music video, but we also have those. So basically, I can continue to run this because women in the meantime have made more films. I have produced my new feature, so we haven't yet gone into our own films. It's only all the other films. And some of them have never been shown properly because maybe it was done with an NGO funding and it was shown internally. Nobody has seen it. We have supported filmmakers to subtitle their film, well-known filmmakers, but it has never been subtitled or in a proper. So we, all of us in various countries, actually we have treasures sitting within our own country, our own environment, which we are not looking for because they remain invisible, you know.
Can I spoke for a time? What I wanted to say is that not everything is about funding. It's about imagination. Okay, and a lot of the young people these days, they're always using social media, you know, what are the free tools, what are the free options, who do I know, who's my network, you know, and they're getting content out there. Funding is very crucial, but there are other resources as well, like technical assistance, you know, someone as a mentor, someone who can mentor you. Exactly. It's so important, you know.
Series actually came out like that. It was just an idea on a napkin, and then we had a 2-year-long program.
Yeah. But first and foremost, you have to feel like you deserve this and it's your right. You know, all these policies, all these regulations, actions, they're for you to take. So you have to say, yes, I deserve this. This is my right, and this is what I'm going to do. This is my space, and this is what I'm going to create. You have to believe that. It starts with the belief. Okay? So just take it. Grab the opportunity, you know. Don't wait for someone to give it to you. No one is going to give it to you. Okay? That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, definitely. That's very true. Please, I'm sure, you know, we're having fun up here, but, you know, if somebody wants to add something, I can see a lot of, yes, yeah, my friend from Bulgaria.
I wanted to build on what you said about education and about the local specificities. For Bulgaria, for example, we say, okay, we have the framework, the laws and everything that comes from the European Union or that we have back at home. But in general, people are like, the moment that there is this law, they're like, who are you to impose me to have this gender equality, to have like this balance? Unfortunately, in Bulgaria, the word gender has become like a bad word. And the moment that it's used, people in general, the moment that it's said, they start to go back. And so we've been thinking with friends of mine, what should we do to kind of change this? Because without a doubt, we need those laws. Without a doubt, we need those frameworks, those programs for equality and for gender equality. But I think that we should start from a very early age, from kindergarten, if you say so, and give the little kids, the future generation, the possibility to try everything. As Gita said, she could like try and play soccer, and this was like a normal thing. So let's try and figure out also programs or, I don't know, activities for the really little ones, the youngest, so that it is absolutely, as you said, it's without a doubt a possibility for me. It doesn't matter whether I'm a girl, a boy, a transgender, or whatever. Like, I'm a human being and I can do whatever I want and whatever I dream of.
Can I just say something? I just wanted to add, that's so true. You know, education, the life lessons we learn start at home with our upbringing. I grew up never really thinking I'm a girl or a boy, but just a human being who could do anything. Even today, you know, and I just walk in, you know, with my foot in the, you know, whatever, and then people are like, oh, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. But then, you know, you have to fight all the way, right? Your parents are your first role models, right? And you sort of take their first lessons from them, what a boy, girl, whatever, you know, the way they behave. In Bangladesh, you know, I just wanted to share that mothers, you know, because there's this thing about having a son. So they will always leave something especially cooked, you know, for the son and not share it with the daughter. And the daughter will probably grow up, you know, this is a generalization, I shouldn't really make it, but, you know, then that's where this kind of thing starts, that somehow the boy is better or the girl is, you know, deserves less, you know? So it starts at home, and we ourselves have be very careful about not repeating those mistakes, you know? And seeing that our children grow up with, you know, with a fairer view. And your children don't have an innate thing of, you know, he's different from me. No child sees the differences, you know? They don't see that this person is white or black or male or female or old or young. And you know, they're very loving. All children are very loving and willing to give. We have to hold on to that. We have to hold on to those human, you know, elements and make sure that that is in their upbringing and their education and in their work. So at every level, and we need people to help us, you know, our teachers, our educators, our community, to sort of replicate those values. It's very true. I agree with everything that you said.
We have to be aware of privilege, because many of us obviously had a family life or home life which was privileged or gave us that privilege as a woman, but not only that, most women will not have that upbringing. Most women in the world now will face a lot of hardship and struggle and pushback and abuse, and that is the reality of the world. About the young people, I actually do not have so much blind faith on youth. I'll give you an example. The point that you made, the gender, the term being made, controversial. Same with feminist. I have heard so many young women say, by the way, I'm not a feminist, but I'm a humanist. And then, you are defeated at the beginning. I have had these huge conversations with women that, look, you have fallen into their trap, because you are wary of calling yourself a feminist, because that was the whole game, to try and make the word feminism dirty. Gender came into, now gender is being made controversial, and then the next word, this is the pushback of the system. It is patriarchy, it will fight, it won't let us have a walkover. It will fight back. And about diversity stereotype, like we are Bangladesh, what do you think of Bangladesh? I don't know, we are all holed up here, but this is a predominantly Muslim country, women are this, women are that. Our women cricket team, under 19, and also the women cricket team, are champions. We have women soccer players in this country. Of course, I'm not going into political leadership, which we have long history of. Just yesterday in Narayanganj, just outside of Dhaka, a hugely contested, election, a mayor election, and the local election won by women. But do we hear this story in the worldwide? I mean, do you have this perception of Bangladesh in sitting in Europe, in Bulgaria, or in European Council? No, we are a country of poor people. Let's give them some handouts and then let's talk about something else. So we are fighting on every front.
Thank you very much for pointing out that, because it was very important. That's why I was saying it is very, very important to know that there is a link. There's already a link. There is already, a lot of possibility to interact, to know each other, and to communicate with each other. Be the future filmmaker who show me another face of Bangladesh. Be the one who's going to lead. Lead something who is going to evolve you, but grow me too. That is all what we are doing here together today. Concerning your election, I have to also say one word. I know I heard about your elections. I'm happy that this lady won. As a political advisor, I know. But I am also deeply saddened about all the, death people and their family. It was unfortunate. But I think Bangladesh and Asia and Asian countries and citizens and population are as much as important as Europeans or Africans or Americans. And regarding myself, I don't look at as a far from me. I look as a woman, and I think my struggle is also your struggle, and your struggle is mine too. And when we are advocating for human rights and women's rights and children's rights, for having a better life, for having better jobs, for being protected against the violence, against also the discrimination in job places, or against the gender gap between, salaries, is something which I think unifies us. And I heard Yana saying that gender issues is rejected in Bulgaria, or the word is rejected, is unfortunately is sad, but it's true, because I've been in Bulgaria in some meetings, and as soon as I talk about the women issues, I'm like, you're not here for lecturing us, you're not here for giving us, you are kind of like, you're not here for giving or saying something why I should do this and why not. I'm not lecturing, and I will not, I mean, like, as a person, but and as Europe and Europeans, and Bulgaria is part of Europe, it's also like, it's an entity, a global entity, and it's a global wish to achieve something all together. And sometimes it's unfortunate that some word is I wish that one day we achieve this equality, and I don't know what is this norm of normality, I don't know what is this norm of normality, but I wish that one day none of the children who's coming up in this world would think about this, oh yeah, it's girl, it's boy, we have to think about equality, or the father or the mother will think about, oh my God, I have a girl, I need to put money on the side because, I need to pay for her weddings. In India, I was just like, one of my friends did that. He told me, he called me and said, I got my second daughter, I already opened the bank account because I need to put money for the weddings. And I hope that it's just like we arrive on a time where we don't think about that. It's all children is in the same level without, seeing them as a girl, boy, having a scarf, without having a skirt. I don't know, it doesn't matter for me. I hope that we'll achieve that. But since then, we have to work on something all together to be able to be persistent on tolerance, on the same rights. I want a children of 5 or 7 years old going to a school. I want this boys and girls having the same rights, having the same possibilities, having the same opportunities, whether they want to do sports or whether they want to go to do, I don't know, boxing, which or perhaps dancing or music activities or fighting activities. The only thing which is important is that this person should be educated to be able to live together without any, obstruction or prejudice.
I see Zohre. Yeah, the microphone has gone missing, but you can take this. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Yeah.
I want to add something because I think maybe I can be a very small role model of the Middle East woman who is living in the country. That there is some rule, we have to respect that rule. Okay, I don't like to maybe put a scarf on, but it's my rule country, and it doesn't matter because my thinking and my brain and my mind is important. Whatever is under the scarf is important for me. Just want to say, I agree with you because it's happened to my country too. Because of media and because of some stupid things that's happened in my country, the view of us and our society through the media in Europe country and other countries is very bad. But I'm here. I can tell you, we women, we can do something that change this seaside and this reaction in the world. I don't care about who think about my dressing style. Just want to say an example about my job, what I did. I'm a filmmaker. When I start, I came from my kitchen to the cinema school directly. But I had a very strong theoretical background. I started to read book from my childhood. Now I can say bravely, I read more than 3,000 books. And in my house we have a big library, and I watch all films, all good music I listen. I started to develop myself. Okay, my society doing nothing for me, but I have to do something for myself. At the first, I have to try to know what is my rights. It is my society, so I can fight to get my rights as I can. Then I start to cinema, I start to making film. Okay, at night I was cooking dinner, but tomorrow morning I was in the shooting. I got so many international awards, and slowly, step by step, I made my career. Then I became head of Young Cinema Society organization in my city. That organization is the biggest short film teaching organization in the world. We have a more than 80 office all over the Iran. We teach the short film making to young people who hasn't the chance to go the art university. Then we invite them, we teach them, we give them camera, sound system, other things, sometimes we even give them money to them to make their short film. When I started in my city, our office was in one small room near the washroom. In the big build, 3-floor build, but they gave us only one room near the washrooms. Okay, I say, okay, you are doing this. I will start from tomorrow. From tomorrow, I start to have a research to find all old building in my city, which is no used by the government or by some system. So I found one old school. It was catastrophe. Even hadn't one glass, one window. I call all my students. I had near the 60 students in the different courses, photography, script writing, blah, blah. We start to work all together. We repaired that building ourselves. We colored, we repaired the chairs, everything. Now, if you come and visit that place, you cannot believe. This is the same building. So we did it because we believe that we can do. We should not stay to somebody help us from outside or somebody give us a big fund. No. Whatever we can do, we should start it. So now I am a very, very good office. I have a very good courses. I get so many things for my children, my students. Once edit system, we hadn't an edit system, a computer and edit system. So what I do, oh my God, what I can do. One communist family was there, my city. They lost their father. I went and talked with them. Okay, I know you don't believe to the ceremony after dying and blah, blah, blah. What you want to do? They said, we want to give some money to do some good works. I said, okay, the most good works is buying edit system for these young people. Because these young people are future of country. They need help. So let them help them. This is the most good things you can do for your fathers. And they bought us a very good edit system. I did same thing about a light system, about a camera. Now we have everything. My library in my job in the Youth Cinema Society, it is the best library, is the richest cinematic books in my office library. So just want to say, maybe when we talk, somebody thinks you are thinking so hopeful. Just want to say, my country, my situation is near the Bangladesh situation. So if we can do, so you can do too. That's it. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Actually, this entrepreneurial spirit, that is also part of the filmmaking fraternity. And one point about the European model, or the current European model, has been raised. I've heard it in many festivals and discussions that sometimes filmmakers, or I would say this is specifically in France, the whole art.
And my special paper in Pune Film Institute was on a Polish film. Polanski was my subject, and I could interview Polanski in Dhaka when he came to Dhaka. Wonderful person, very whimsical, but a great person. And we have Ipshita Madesh Martin Manush. She's basically a teacher. I really feel proud and fortunate to be with Ipshita. She has dedicated her life. Barat has different meanings. In Bengali, Barat has a different connotation, different meaning. But anyway, I'll call her Ipshita. That's more intimate name, Ipshita. The first I would request. Oh yes, online. Sreyashi is there. Sreyashi, she's in Singapore. She's in India now. Okay, you could just fly. Take just half an hour. Which part of India you are in? Kolkata. Okay.
I'm in Kolkata, but I'm down with COVID. So. আমিও মাটির মানুষ।
Now yes, welcome মাটির মানুষ। আমরা সবাই মাটি থেকে, we all are.
আমার আদি বাড়ি ঢাকা।
Oh, that's great. ঠিক আছে, আপনার সঙ্গে আমি ঢাকায় ভাষায় কথা বলবো।
নিশ্চয়ই।
I'll now request Yana. Wonderful keynote paper. I read it, and she has really some good observation and at the same time good reflections and some questions she has raised. Those are the vital questions addressed to you all here, and that's very important. Yana, would you please take the floor? Oh, sure.
Good morning, everybody. So my name is Yana. I'm from Bulgaria, but I'm going to talk to you about Korean directors. The reason why I'm going to talk about Korean directors is because I managed to do an MFA in film directing in Seoul, in the capital of South Korea. And I was really interested in the development of Korean cinema. I guess many of you have heard about Parasite and Squid Game, right? But I'm going to take you back a little bit in the past. The movies that I'm going to talk about, especially the older ones, are actually available on YouTube. There is a special channel by the Korean Film Council, and they have all of their classical films. So you can search them afterwards. The newer ones, if you get interested in them, I'm sure that you are going to find a way to search them somewhere. I know that the names that I'm going to pronounce are going to be a little bit difficult. I have to say that although I speak to a certain extent Korean, I still have a problem with Korean names. So in the booklets for today's conference, you can find my paper and check those strange names. But anyways, I'm going to read my paper. I'm going to try and be as clear as possible, and I really hope that you're going to be interested in the topic. The topic that I'm going to talk about is the characters that are depicted by female directors, whether it is a matter of choice or responsibility for us. Today we are in the year 2022, and we should be talking about space travel and the global warming or virtual reality or time traveling. But instead, we are talking about gender equality. We are asking ourselves whether a certain individual should be limited or guided in their artistic expression by their sex by birth. The share of female directors in Hollywood for the year 2019 was 5 times bigger from the number 5 years earlier. So when I read this, I was like, wow, 5 times bigger. This means like, I don't know, like 70, 80%. Like. And then when I read the statistics, it turns out that 5 years earlier, the number was 1.9, like less than 2% of the directors in Hollywood were female, which means that 5 times by 2%, it's less than 10%. Women comprised 16% of directors working on the top 100 grossing films in 2020, which is up from only 12% in 2019 and 4% in 2018. So these are numbers that literally mean close to zero. That's still the reality despite the conscious efforts by especially film festivals to boost the number of female directors visible in the industry. And it's that reality that contributes to another reality. We, as filmmakers, but also as audience, we pay special attention to any film helmed by a woman, since it's a thing that happens more seldom than having a film directed by a man. And of course, by putting in the spotlight every film made by a female director, arises the question about the responsibility and the choices made by this respective female director when creating the film. Does a female director need to show in their work that it is a female on the director's chair? Do the characters represented on screen need to speak an ambassadors for female rights? Is the responsibility for the characters and stories portrayed bigger than just because the film is made by a female director? When exploring those questions, I'm about to use as examples movies from South Korea made within the span of more than 60 years, starting by the very first film made by a Korean female director back in 1955 and going all the way to the present. So let's go back in time, not with a time machine, unfortunately, we still don't have that. The very first Korean film directed by a woman is called The Widow. The director's name is Park Nam-ok. The film follows the story of a young widow subject to the prejudices against her position in society. Trying to provide for her daughter as well as find love, she becomes entangled in the lives of her late husband's friend, his wife, and her lover. When I watched The Widow, I was really stunned because the first thing that I actually found out about this film was that the director had given birth quite recently before starting to shoot the film. She actually had the baby on set. She was actually nursing the baby on set. But this is part of being a woman. And then the second thing that impressed me very much is that instead of a solemn, not expecting anything from the future passive widow, the one depicted in this 1955 film is somebody who not only enjoys life, takes advantage of men, but also is a mother who is willing to give away her child for the sake of her own well-being. It is a character that runs away from the stereotype of the devoted mother, a character that has actual human flaws. I thought that it is very courageous for this female director to go against the social convention, to show a woman that actually is close to the real-life woman with their passions and fears and struggles. I looked at the protagonist's character as an attempt to add to the palette of female characters presented on the big screen as a way to stand for the women that are different, that are unconventional. We were talking yesterday with Oya Dogan about the representation of women quite often as victims, as mothers, as daughters, in a very stereotypical way. This widow, trust me, if you have the chance to watch the movie, is nothing you have ever seen before. But then, after researching furthermore for this film, I found out that the script for the film was actually written by the husband of the director. And at first I thought, well, It shouldn't matter who wrote the script, whether it is a woman or a man, as long as the person knows the human nature well and describes it skillfully.